Money, power, and fame are all the boxes a person has to tick before being qualified to be called a billionaire. And yes, Roman Arkadievich Abramovich ticked all boxes. In fact, Abramovich was once named the richest man in Russia, and he was one of the 7 Russian oligarchs sanctioned by the United Kingdom government after the Russia and Ukraine rift. No doubt, the sanction hit Abramovich, and he was forced to sell most of his hard-earned assets, including a $3 billion soccer club, Chelsea FC, and other important properties in Europe. But that hasn't stopped Abramovich from acquiring new assets outside of Europe as well. And in today's video, we'll be discussing Abramovich's $180 million mansion. Before we get into the full details, kindly give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more premium content. Now, let's get into it. A fun fact about Roman Abramovich: he has Russian, Portuguese, and Israeli citizenship, and has once been named the richest person in Israel and one of the few oligarchs in Russia. Additionally, he was appointed governor of a remote Arctic province, Chukotka, from 2003 to 2008, during which he spent over $1 billion of his personal money to develop the region. The business mogul was once the owner of the famous English club, Chelsea FC, and steered the club to 21 major trophies before being forced to sell the club off. According to Forbes, Abramovich is worth $9.8 billion as of 2023, despite reports that he was worth more before the 2008 financial crisis. Nevertheless, Abramovich is still a billionaire, occupying the 201st position in the world today. Prior to Abramovich's net worth decline, he was the largest shareholder of Evraz, one of the world's top producers of steel, and according to Bloomberg, he also owns stakes in the world's largest producer of refined nickel. Just so you know, most of Abramovich's vast fortune comes from proceeds from selling Russian state-owned assets after the fall of the Soviet Union. He owned stakes in industries like airlines, oil, and aluminum. In 2003, the Russian oligarch sold a 26% stake of Russian airline company Aeroflot to the National Reserve Bank. In 2005, he sold his 70% stake in Russian oil company Sibneft for almost $10 billion. He also offloaded his aluminum assets for more than $2 billion. All of these contributed to his net worth of over $20 billion in 2008 before the financial crisis. Roman Abramovich, just like other top billionaires, is known for his collection of luxury cars, private planes, mansions around the world, super yachts, and of course, art collections. Abramovich, aside from being a business mogul, seems to be a lover of the arts, and his super art collections attest to that. Even the Wall Street Journal once nicknamed his global collection of extravagant possessions the Roman Empire. In 2008, he paid about $86.3 million at an auction for a painting by Francis Bacon. He also paid about $33.6 million for a piece by Lucian Freud. Nothing seems too much to splurge on paintings, but the money he spends on paintings is nothing compared to what he spends on the mode of transportation. Abramovich has a lot of yachts to his name, and he is thought to be the biggest yacht spender in the world because his yacht collections are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. One of his yachts, Eclipse, cost Abramovich about $400 million to build. The Eclipse used to be the biggest private yacht in the world before being dethroned by Azam, a 590-foot-long super yacht. Abramovich's Eclipse features 2 swimming pools, 2 helipads, and a submarine that can be taken off. It's worth knowing that Abramovich used to own the Polaris, which was another impressive yacht that was given to his ex-wife as part of the divorce settlement. Before the Eclipse, Abramovich had 5 yachts, including the Luna, which sold for $360 million. Aside from Abramovich's sea beasts, he also owns an impressive collection of private planes. But out of all of his planes, the Bandit, a Boeing 767-33A/ER, might be his most impressive plane. Abramovich bought the Bandit from Hawaiian Airlines, but had it tuned to meet his billionaire standard. The Bandit features a dining room that can contain 30 people at a time, nice suites, and exquisite bathrooms. The coolest features of the Bandit have to be its high-tech systems to avoid missile attacks. The same high-tech feature on Air Force One, the official plane for the president of the most powerful nation on Earth. Abramovich is simply living a life of luxury and detailed security. When Abramovich is traveling a short distance, he loves to move with any of his luxury cars that make up his $11 million car collection. One of Abramovich's popular cars is the Ferrari FXX, which can go 190 miles per hour in a split second, and is one of only 29 ever made. The billionaire also has a Pagani Zonda Roadster that was made in a limited number. A billionaire's garage will never be complete without a Bugatti, right? Well, Abramovich doesn't disappoint. His Bugatti Veyron screams luxury, and his Mercedes AMG GT3 is a dream for other billionaires around the world. We are halfway through, guys, and there are more details to come, so stick around. If you're enjoying the video, kindly hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you've yet to do so. While all modes of transportation can be termed as liability, According to real estate mogul Robert Kiyosaki, landed properties are reliable assets that come in handy when a rich person is struggling financially. Abramovich doesn't disappoint in this regard as well. He reportedly owns a mansion worth billions of dollars, including his latest $180 million, which we'll get into in a bit. One of Roman Abramovich's most expensive purchases has to be the 4 townhouses next to each other on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, which cost the businessman a whopping sum of $74 million. You must be wondering why he bought 4 townhouses next to each other. Well, that's because Abramovich plans to combine the buildings into an urban castle. Aside from the extravagant amount splurged on the building, Abramovich plans to upgrade the building for another sum of $100 million. That might sound extravagant, but $100 million is just a minuscule amount of Abramovich's wealth. The rich business mogul's plans of converting the buildings on a prime block in Lenox Hill started as far back as 2018. The converted and renovated buildings will most likely be the largest single-family residence in Manhattan. At 20,000 square feet, the Upper East Side development would be bigger than Gracie Mansion or the Governor's Mansion in Albany. In addition to the $74 million investment in 4 buildings on East 75th Street, with renovation costing $100 million, Abramovich has some other mansions worth millions and won't stop acquiring more landed property. Abramovich, whose movement has been constrained internationally over some months now, also experienced a visa ban in countries like Switzerland, while his ties with the United Kingdom have ensnared. All of these are due to Abramovich's close relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Amidst the uproar, plans for the Russian oligarch's New York City palatial digs appear to be going forward. Back in 2018, permits from the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission for interior rehabilitation of the townhouse's interiors were issued to Paul Hegren, who's like a personal assistant to Abramovich. There are speculations that Abramovich's divorce will cost him the $180 million mansion, but amidst the asset shuffling with his ex-wife, the mansion's construction and renovation were still ongoing. Talking about his divorce, we could term Abramovich's divorce as one of the most expensive divorces in the world. After the final dissolution of the marriage, Abramovich transferred the combined properties at 9, 11, and 13 East 75th Street to his ex-wife, Dasha Zhukova, for $74 million. A fourth townhouse, 15 East 75th Street, was also transferred to Zhukova, an art collector, for an additional $16.5 million, although it is no longer included in the plans for a mega mansion. Abramovich flexed his riches again when he bought a former hotel on the French Riviera, on the Côte d'Azur, for over $18 million, which was converted to a 12-bedroom building and will serve as a getaway place for stress. Just so you know, the building used to be a royal family property, and between 2006 and 2007, a European court instructed Abramovich to pay an extra amount of money in property taxes. Roman's mansion in London's Kensington Palace Gardens, which costs over $100 million, is another worthy property on the rich man's list of assets. Additionally, the Russian oligarch owns a 3-story penthouse on the water in Chelsea, which costs around $30 million. The Finning Hill Estate, and the Wildcat Ridge residence, which costs $36.4 million. Abramovich seems to have bounced back from his expensive divorce, and hopefully, we get to see leaked footage of his $180 million mansion, which is still under renovation. I guess you like the video. We have more luxury-themed content for you, so how about you check out the next video? Also, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.